One Star Cowboys podcast, presented by Haymaker. Now here's your host, Kevin K.T. Turner.
That's right, the One Star Cowboys podcast is back. We're down a man. Saad Yousuf out this week. He'll be back next week, no sweat. We have John Machota here from The Athletic. Hello, John.
Hello.
We have Kent Garrison back as well. Hello, Kent.
Hey, guys.
Okay, so we got a lot to get to because just when you think the season's over, I'm here to tell you we have more drama. We have more storylines than ever. Was a bad game the other night. Got your thoughts on the post-game pod we did the other day. That was not a lot of fun. But Jerry's got to do his Tuesday morning interview on 105.3 The Fan with Sean and RJ and Bobby Belt. And a lot of takeaways here. And I know you wrote a piece, or you're writing a piece for The Athletic. Did you think through that thing that the headline of that whole interview was the Matt Eberflus defensive coordinator discussion, or what did you really take away from that?
So when I listen to a Jerry interview, whether it be Tuesday or Friday mornings, I would say one of the first things I'm looking for is how much does he sound different than the way he sounded right after the game. And then listening to today, which was probably about 20, 22 minutes, somewhere around there, I don't even think it was close. Like, I'll fire off. Jerry can give a boring interview. I'll fire off 4 or 5 tweets. But to write a story on something, usually there has to be a little more meat on the bone there. Yeah. And there's not even close to me. It was no question about it. It was Eberflus. And I will say it's also because of the fact that I'm adding in with the way he sounded after the game about Eberflus. I thought, hey, maybe a couple days to think about it. I think a couple days to think about it made him even more like, yeah, I'm thinking about going another direction here.
Which goes against some things he said earlier in the year. He talked about wanting continuity, really stabilize the defensive coordinator position because it's been Dan Quinn, Mike Nolan, Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, okay, Matt Eberflus. And the idea of going back to another one I know is not that appealing to him until you just have to. And I don't know how you could watch him. The more and more you think about this thing, you just kind of go, well, the Raiders, Eagles, and Chiefs are all three teams whose offense is not very good at the time you played them. So sure, the defense might have improved a little bit, but it's still, you can't go up that many points to the Vikings. Like, it's just not what they are right now. Like, they've made too many quarterbacks look like elite players all year long. So, yeah, I'm glad Jerry's made this turn. But it was also, he was like reinforcing a lot of the things in the interview. It was saying that he likes the roster and spinning that positivity. And that, to me, is the big sign of making it look like Eberflus's days are numbered here.
Yeah, and there's no question about that. That's the way I looked at it too. But there's also the side of it is you'd be a fool to think that Jerry doesn't deserve plenty of blame too as the general manager of putting this roster together. He obviously put Matt Eberflus in a tough spot, having to be a defensive coordinator with your best player traded a week before the season started. So we're not going to act like Jerry helped him out a ton. But I also think that Jerry is giving him a little bit of grace on, hey, I understand that I did that. But then at the trade deadline, I went out and got Quinnen Williams. We went out and got Logan Wilson. We got Overshown back. We got Revel back. And then there were 2 games where it was like, actually 3, if you count the Raiders game, where you're like, okay, this defense is turning a corner. Nobody is expecting it to be the best defense. No one really is expecting it to be a top 10 defense. But you're showing that you're taking steps. And that has been the thing with Matt Eberflus, is that even when things have started bad, he has tend to improve the defense as the season goes along. These last 2 games are a complete step back. And I think another part of the indictment on him in those is the fact that it is against the Lions. It is against the Vikings. These are teams that he obviously knows them very well from being the Bears coach the last 3 years. And then one other thing I wanted to say about one thing you mentioned earlier about the continuity, that Jerry has been very big on that. I make the argument that the Dallas Cowboys should be so good with what they have at their hands, there should really rarely be any continuity at defensive coordinator because their defensive coordinators every couple of years should be so good that other people are hiring them to be head coaches. Because we're not acting like the Dallas Cowboys have to have the best defense in the league for that DC to get a head coaching job. If you're the Dallas Cowboys DC with an offensive head coach, which has been the case, Schottenheimer offensive coach, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, that's the way it's been. If you are the DC there, you should be lining yourself up to then get right back in the head coaching ranks. And so there wouldn't be continuity. These Vic Fangio, Steve Spagnuolo, those are outliers. You should be having to replace your DC every couple of years because other teams want them to be the head coach of their team. And that happened with Dan Quinn. And when Dan Quinn was here for those 3 years, the Cowboys won 12 games each of those 3 years. Now, they didn't do enough in January, but there was enough there where you're like, yeah, he's not going to stay here long. Someone's going to hire him as a head coach.
I think I'll have a common theme throughout this podcast, though, that I want to keep reiterating, because you said this just a second ago, too, is that I don't want people to forget that the season was partially hijacked by them not making a move with Micah. You didn't have to wait till the end of August to trade Micah either. And I realized the events unfolded how they unfolded. Can't change the timeline. When we talk about Trevon Diggs, we'll get into that. I do think there's a large portion of Cowboys fans who are desensitized to talking about the Joneses, to even really like caring to even discuss about how dysfunctional things are. And I think we just have to remember that and keep factoring that in. Because it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but it is at the core of all this. And every time you start, it's almost like you stir up so much chaos that you forget, like, well, at the core, here are some problems, is the way this thing was set up right here.
I do like to bring those things up, though.
You do a good job of it.
And I do like bringing those things up. But in this particular case, this body of work, I'm not saying, it probably is time to get a new DC. They don't have the NFL's best defense. It's time to find somebody else.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear. My expectations aren't super high at all. I want you to maybe not. Let's see where they are right now. I must have missed the point where they played Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen. I must have missed this.
Yeah.
But if you go look up the stats right now, opposing quarterbacks, highest passer rating against any team is against the Cowboys, 108. You walk out there, 108. I think it's 250 passing yards per game, highest in the NFL they're giving up. 2.2, 2.4 passing touchdowns per game, highest in the NFL. I'm not asking for even a top 10 defense. I'm asking you to be middle of the pack. And while I don't think the talent on the defense is good enough, and I do think I do think this offseason should be spent heavily on improving the defense, I don't think that the talent is worst defense in the league type talent.
Also, 11 turnovers, which qualifies you for 28th in the league.
Yeah.
You're not getting the ball back either. Giving up a tons of yards per play. And, we'll get into a little bit about how, Shoddy, I think, had some question marks after really the last 2 weeks. One thing that I don't know, and we should probably discuss for a second, though, and maybe we don't have the full picture on, what guys did Eberflus want? What scheme did he want to run? Is his scheme, what he normally does. But are there some players that he insisted that were here? Because for Jerry to keep saying over and over that he likes the bones of the team, I like the players. I like what we've done. Look what I did. I made a trade for a big defensive tackle. I think all that stuff really matters. And we don't know what was said back in August when they decided to trade Micah. Was Eberflus going in the room and saying, well, look, we just got Dante Fowler back. We're going to be fine rushing the passer. Some of those things, maybe what you sold, and if you can't cash the check that you wrote back at the end of training camp, I think that also will not work in his favor now. And I also don't know, dude, the next 3 games, give up 20 points or less. I don't know that I'm bringing you back. We can't just, I don't know we can just judge off the next 3 games. That's one thing Jerry said. The next 3 games will be part of the criteria of determining if Eberflus comes back. I'm not sure it matters at this point.
Well, what else is out there will matter too. If there's a Raheem Morris or there's a head coach who then gets fired, Jonathan Gannon, somebody like that who is a defensive mind, that could change things too for Jerry, Steven, whoever. Brian Schottenheimer. Let's not act like Brian Schottenheimer. We don't know that he might not want a change. Do you think earlier in the year? Really up until they traded for Quinnen Williams, do you think he liked spending more time in the defensive meeting rooms? Do you think he wants to do that going forward? You don't think he wants to worry about the offense, other things that he has to deal with as a head coach? Do you think he wants to sit in those defensive meeting rooms like he had to do? No. That's not lost on me either. And so who will be available will be a factor in this as well. There's no doubt about that. But when you bring up the players, I can't give you every player this is a Jerry guy, this is a Matt Eberflus guy, this is a Jerry guy, this is a Matt Eberflus guy. But there's one that I feel pretty strong about, and I'm just going off of what my eyes are telling me, and that's Kenneth Murray.
Yeah.
There was some talk in the offseason that, these are just, middle-of-the-level players that Matt Eberflus is getting stuck with. Cool. Why is he still out there?
Yeah.
That is the most important position, the green dot. That's the guy that you're communicating to, and he continues to be out there. Obviously, Matt Eberflus feels comfortable with Kenneth Murray being out there. I equate it, and I shouldn't do apples to apples, but it kind of is this way for me. When you have a new DC coming in, let me think. Let's see how far we have to go back. Last year with Mike Zimmer, what did they do for him? They went out and got Eric Kendricks because he knows the system. He was going to be your green dot guy. I'm not saying it was flawless, but the results were 1,000 times better than what we've seen from Kenneth Murray.
Yeah, and our other guy was Sanborn, was a Eberflus guy, at least allegedly. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Basically just looking at that he played with the Bears.
Yeah.
Well, Eberflus was there.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's tough. I was listening to a bit of the Logan Wilson Family Playbook podcast, and he was talking about how hard it is to come here and learn a defense that fast. Like, because he obviously is like the backup green dot, and he was talking about that on the and I don't know, it didn't go into depth with it, so it did make me listening to that gave me a second of okay, that's why they're still keeping Kenneth Murray out there because Logan Wilson's still getting it all together. Now, at this point, it's been a month? It's been 6 weeks since the trade? I mean, it's been a while, so it should be time to go.
And there's also part of me that wonders, okay, once you list off all the defensive players this year that you're like, man, that guy's having a career year. Yeah. There's not one? Is there one? Can you think of somebody? Is there somebody that you're just like,
it would be your rookie.
Man, if you have
Savon Revel.
Yeah, the career year guys are the rookie guys.
Right. So there's not one player that you're like, oof, I wouldn't want to make too many changes because then all of a sudden that guy's going to take some step backs. Who would that be?
Yeah, I don't have that name off the top of my head. I really don't.
We're just
too
far in for this for me to be making excuses. So that's why I'm not anymore, and that's why I don't think Jerry is either. Because when things were bad earlier in the year and Jerry was asked about the defense, Jerry would defend Eberflus to a certain extent, talking about how we know him. Steven, same thing. We know him. He's been in this building before. It was about 6 years as the linebackers coach and then elevated to defensive passing game coordinator. You're not really hearing that stuff anymore.
I hate the we know him argument.
I know.
This team.
But I
get it, but
let me be completely fair too. Let's go back to the offseason. I don't think that he was a bad hire.
I don't either.
So I was for it. Of that. Yeah. But I'm also for, hey, this isn't working. You've invested a lot in this roster. Jerry clearly thinks highly of this roster.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry clearly knows where he is age-wise in his life. If he doesn't think that this is the right DC with what he's invested, I find it very hard to believe he's going to be like, nah, let's just kind of run this back. Where we've definitely seen that from Jerry in the past. So that's why I think he's talking the way he's talking right now is because he knows that they can't just extend this another year if it keeps looking this way.
And like you said earlier, like it's not burning bridges or trash talking or gossip, but like Jerry will have a sit-down meeting with Brian Schottenheimer, and I can't see how Brian Schottenheimer could be like, now, hold on, Jerry. We're getting a little bit better on defense. Like, it's not like Eberflus was his guy, and
Brian's job's on the line too with that.
100%. I was thinking about that the other night. Now, and the last 2 weeks is probably the most mental notes that I've taken on Schottenheimer's game management or just questions about some things with him. But I was sitting there going, imagine being him, and you finally get your chance, and you can't get off the field on defense. That would drive me insane. It's kind of out of his hands.
Especially after the Quinnen Williams move.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have to be a defensive guru to see the impact that dude makes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. Like, the adding him immediately to that defense should have prevented anything that we've seen these last 2 weeks against Detroit and Minnesota. And really, Detroit, I get it. I mean, Goff is super comfortable there. They have weapons. There's a chance that they're a playoff team. Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, you're building 10 days in between games that you had to get ready for this. And honestly, I got the feeling, and this is from also talking to some people, that like Minnesota wasn't even fazed by anything that they were doing. And Minnesota is clearly not having the year that they were having a year ago. But they were just kind of like, no, if we do this and this, we'll take care of business there. J.J. McCarthy looked extremely comfortable.
That was the most comfortable he's looked since playing at Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. And the other thing, like, you can go, do the digging and all that stuff. They've made choices over the past 2 weeks to not send extra players very often either.
What do you have to lose?
In the Lions
I don't
game,
get about it.
And the Lions game, like, the one thing you can say about Jared Goff is, outside of maybe playing in the cold, maybe still, is you got to get in his face a little bit. You got to hit him. You have to. You can't let him sit back there and pick you apart.
Yeah, what's he going to do if you don't do that?
They did that the first couple drives.
They pick up the blitz. What's he going to do? Hit Jamison Williams for like a 50-yard gain? They were doing that while you were sitting back. So why not turn it up,
It's also like, we're seeing it. Eberflus is watching the tape. He's seeing it too.
Yeah.
So how are we not trying some new things? I give him a little credit for the first, after the bye week and after the trade, not being afraid to have 5-man fronts and things like that, playing to your strengths. Like, he should get credit for that. I was worried he wouldn't do that. But it's too often just, hey, we're going to let you have this. And I don't think that's all on the players. There are definitely times when you see that we've got players out there who probably shouldn't be out there. And that's no disrespect to those players. They've earned the right to play in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know that you need a guy like, we ran Bridges out there for a while. I don't know that Marquise Bell needs to be playing as much as he's having to play. Like, things like that make you just kind of scratch your head and go, okay, we could get some upgrades on defense. You absolutely could, but Jerry does have a point. Like, it's not like they didn't do anything. They have the guys. I still disagree with the Micah trade. Wouldn't have done it. But, and especially the timing, I wouldn't have done it to my new coach. I wouldn't have done it to the good vibes of training camp and the possibility of winning this year. Would not have done that. But once you have, I do think, like, and I don't even fully agree with the Quinnen Williams trade, honestly, but I respect trying to do something about it. Try to help fix the defense. Try to help do something for the offense. I respect all that. But I
need to get a notepad, because when you start talking, I start thinking of like 5-6 different things
I know,
want to
right?
talk about. It's like, it's just, like you saying that
Well,
thing
it
about
goes on
Micah.
and on.
Like you say that thing about Micah. All right, I agree with you on that. But where stuff's been going, and knowing how Micah Parsons is,
Yeah.
how do you think he would have handled this Matt Eberflus defense if it was playing the way that it is? You think he would have maybe, I don't know, doing what we're doing right now, podcasting? You don't think that?
My question is, does the defense change with him?
I think for me, if you could have done the Jets trade and involved Micah, I'd be sitting here today and not even having any like second thoughts. I really wouldn't. I'm not joking when I say that. If I'm talking, you get Quinnen Williams from day one. Obviously, there would have been, you would have had to get a 1 as well.
Sure.
I don't buy in the Jerry saying that they would have given Micah and a 1.
Nah.
I think he messed that up. But if you get a 1 and Quinnen Williams and you send Micah Parsons to the Jets, I'm not looking at that trade right now. And that has nothing to do with his injury either. I'm saying he was playing great.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that that's a move that you could have got me to make at that time.
Well, here's the other thing is, I don't know how heavy the phones started ringing, but the Jets started out of the gate 0-5. So it's not like they were winning games.
Yeah.
So I would kind of in my head been like, well, week 5, week 6, week 7, mid to late October, a couple weeks before the trade deadline, could you have gotten Quinnen Williams here faster? Because
Possibly,
it was very evident this defense was not going to be what you needed it to be to win a bunch of games.
I will always go back to this, and I haven't been told this by anybody in the league, but just going back to that day when it happened, there's a part of me that will always believe that the Sauce Gardner thing was tied in, where it's like,
maybe.
all right, hey, hey, the Colts are offering us this. Let's just start stackpiling picks. Because just the way it happened, like later in the day and everything like that, I'll always think that was part of it. But even when I think of the Jets, I think of, Aaron Glenn, defensive mind. I think of last year and even the previous seasons with the Lions. There'd be a lot of games going in before you play the Lions. People would talk about like Aaron Glenn defense and doing stuff like that. And there would be signature games that, as good as the Lions offense was, where you were like, man, that Aaron Glenn called a great defensive game. I'll be honest with you. The one that stands out to me is the last year's regular season finale, the final game of the season against the Vikings. The winner gets the 1 seed, and he was phenomenal in that game. I think of the teams that the Cowboys have played this year, going against the Eagles. Vic Fangio and his defense. Vic Fangio, to me, should have been the Super Bowl MVP, okay? We'll talk about that leading into games, the Vikings game. We'll talk about Vance Joseph. This past week, we'll talk about Brian Flores. There's several other guys, the Cardinals game,
Sure.
even though Jonathan Gannon's the head coach. You talk about that. Who's doing that with Matt Eberflus before the Cowboys play? What is his signature game that where you're like, his fingerprints are all over this. This is what you got that you can build on for next year. I started thinking about next year 3-4 weeks ago. I really did.
Sure.
When I saw what Quinnen Williams was doing, I was like, yeah, man, there's something here. If you get everything clicking, like they got some pieces here on the field, but also the way that these guys carry themselves behind the scenes where I'm like, I can see this being a good team next year. But
is it the Chiefs game?
The Chiefs game, and then everything you see is the Chiefs struggling to get to 20 points in every game they play. The Eagles, very well documented, and the Eagles can only score on the Raiders. So, any of those 3 wins that they got in a row there just kind of fall flat on me in terms of – and that's why I was saying before the Lions game, let's wait on how good this defense is. None of those teams tried to run. The Eagles didn't. The Raiders did not. Famously, Chip Kelly did not try to run – and the Chiefs don't try to run on anyone. So none of those teams are trying to run the ball.
What did they do to Patrick Mahomes? Look up Patrick Mahomes' stats from that game. Was that because why they won, or was it because George Pickens was mossing people?
I will say that in that game, Patrick Mahomes was gassed and running around a lot.
Look up his stats. Tell me how gassed he was.
I'm sure he ended up pretty
Actually,
good.
The play I'm thinking of is special teams.
23 of 34.
Fumble recovery. I'm just thinking about
and honestly,
the aggressiveness that they played with against the Chiefs.
Kent, you can bring up that side of the coaching staff too, because the special teams haven't been great either this year.
No,
I mean,
they have not.
To have Kevontae Turpin and what has been a at least solid special teams in previous years, that's not a great spot.
Then he's playing wide receiver and having a miscommunication there the other day in the game.
Right. I know this is crazy to go here, but this is where my mind goes. I'm thinking about the defense. Back to the draft, I think it's 2022. I was running the draft for The Athletic. We had Dane Brugler in studio, Nate Tice in studio, Robert Mays. Cowboys pick comes up in the first round. And I'm doing the graphics, right? So I'm filling out the graphics for who the pick is for the broadcast, right? And I see it come across the ticker. Dallas Cowboys, Smith. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Nolan Smith is a Cowboy. Oh, no, it's Mozzie Smith. Sorry. And I couldn't believe it that they picked Mozzie Smith over Nolan Smith. Philadelphia says, thank you very much. A couple picks later, takes Nolan Smith. What's the ripple effect of that? And not taking a linebacker when there was one there that you could have had. And is it easier to let Micah go? In that case, is Kenneth Murray not even on the team? That's where my mind goes, is like, that was a miss that really affected like the next 3-4 years of your defense.
Yeah, I can hindsight that and defend the Cowboys a little bit just because of the fact of, I was amongst thousands of people complaining about that they don't spend enough on defensive tackle. Yeah. So the fact that they took a swing at defensive tackle, I don't hate that. And then at that time, you have Micah. And again, I understand that the way things have played out, hindsight's 2020, but they thought they would be getting more at this point from Sam Williams as well.
Oh yeah.
And you can always get like a Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong level guy through free agency. I expect them to do that, this year next year, I guess. Technically, we're still in December, but I expect them to do that with defensive end because it needs a lot of work there. But because I think that's what Nolan Smith would have been playing here. But I don't hate that they took a chance on Mozzie or even went that direction. I just I think they waited too long to even move on from him, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, and he has been inactive. He played 2 games with the Jets and has been inactive ever since. He's not been producing for them. But that 2023 draft, outside of Overshone, I guess Schoonmaker had a nice catch the other day.
He's injured right now, but Sam Laporta is the guy that I think of. How if you had Laporta and Jake Ferguson right now. But you would have had to take Laporta instead of Mozzie Smith.
Sure.
But if you had those 2 tight ends, like
they were looking at the offensive lineman too.
They were looking at offensive line. Yep, Bergeron would have been the pick if it wasn't Mozzie, but tight end was certainly in play there as well.
The Taco draft was 2017, and honestly, you ended up getting guys who are hanging on in the NFL: Cheeto, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods still played. Noah Brown.
Was that Which one was Nashawn Wright?
The Nashawn Wright draft was a Dan Quinn draft.
Yeah.
So he was the late third rounder. I think that was the year they also had Chauncey Golston as
Yeah,
third
you're right.
rounder.
You're right. Yep.
So I want to say that was the 2021 draft.
Seems to be doing okay.
Yeah,
Chicago.
How
Val
about
Harris.
Bears
Yeah.
unlocked Nashawn Wright. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? Cornerback position takes us to our next topic du jour. Kent, I don't know if we have the superpower. Do we have the ability to go inside the blue tent? I always wanted to see what was
Would you
going
like
on in
to?
there. Yeah, I think we should go in there just to see.
All right, here we go. Boom.
Oh, it's not as nice as I thought. Thought there'd be more
Sorry.
stuff going
What, I
on
mean,
in
what do
there.
you think they're doing in there? You're either getting checked out for an injury or you're going to the bathroom.
Well, you have an iPad there. You can catch up on Stranger Things.
Okay.
Trevon Diggs. This is the story that'll never stop giving, I guess, until he's not a Cowboy anymore when they get rid of him at the end of the year. It's weird to me that he talked to the media after a game that he didn't play, also saying that he was healthy enough to play, but no one else says he is. What's going on, man?
This is vintage Cowboys drama.
This is
that
beautiful.
I will say I am here for.
Me too.
Yeah, it is interesting. I wouldn't say Trayvon's a guy that never talks to reporters, but recently he talked at his locker last week after our final availability of the week, which would have been Friday, I believe. Yeah. And he certainly felt like he was going to play, that he was healthy enough, but it's beyond health. They can say that, but it's also, buying into the team and doing things the right way and all that stuff like that. They do have pretty strong culture, and there are parts of Trevon Diggs I think go against what they want to build or what they are building under Schottenheimer. So I think that factors in. And so they've been kind of a little, I don't know, they've tried to hide that a little bit, not make that as big of a deal as the whole, well, he's not healthy thing. And I think the health has been an issue this year. He's had a legitimate knee injury. At home accident led to a concussion. As Trayvon said after the game, accidents happen.
They do.
I think that factored in too. And so I think he looks at it as, I'm a talented player. I've played at a high level. I'm healthy. Put me out there. Don't leave this up to what I'm doing in meetings. This isn't high school football, or if I'm showing up or whatever like that, or I'm on time, or I'm doing everything that the coaches want. So I almost think he's kind of being made an example of. Yeah. And also just, nothing to me on this current roster would be more shocking than if he's on the roster next year at this time. It just seems like the writing's on the wall that they're just going to part ways. He's going to end up in Green Bay with Micah. No.
Or Chicago.
Yeah, or something like
with Val
that.
Harris.
And so because of that, that's why if he wasn't going to be active for that game, I don't see them making him active now.
No, I don't either, and it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
Either you're evaluating your younger guys. To me, that's what the mode has to be. And
there's got to be part of him that looks at what's on the field too and goes, "Come on, guys, we're doing this."
Oh yeah, no, and that's what I'm doing. You can't tell me you're serious about really serious about winning. And his play has not been good, and his effort at times has not been good. I want to be real clear because I'm about to say something that's not popular. I'll be real clear. I'm not absolving Trevon Diggs of any of this, but I think this is way more 50-50 than it is 90% Trevon Diggs' fault and 10% the Cowboys' fault.
Oh, I do like doing percentages.
Go to the mall, ask 10 people whose fault is it that Trevon Diggs. 9 out of 10 would tell you that this is all on Trevon Diggs and he sucks and all that.
I'm trying to incorporate everything I've seen and heard behind the scenes too with all of that.
Okay.
I'm going to go 60-40, 65-35, somewhere in there, Cowboys.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a terrible.
Let's get a baseline set here. Where would your we're going to do two examples. You'll love both these. Trading Luka Doncic.
100% on the math.
100. Okay. I would be 98. I do think that there are things behind the scenes where you can trade Luka Doncic. I wouldn't have done it for that move, but I think that there are, I can't say 100 because I do think that there could be some certain things where you're like, we're going to have to get a haul in return.
That's the problem.
You tell me that they send him to Oklahoma City and they get Shea and a bunch of ones or something like that. There is, I'm just saying that it's not, for me, I won't be 100.
He's tradable if you get
right.
shit
Right.
ton back.
All right, now Micah Parsons.
I mean, I think more tradable than Luka on this
For sure.
scale, for sure. Still wouldn't have done it. I'll just say that. So what you think that, like, asking what's the
Because I'm at like
question?
about 75% where I could trade Micah Parsons
Oh, yeah,
at
yeah.
that time. I'm not sending him to the Green Bay Packers.
50-50, and he's going to the AFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm at 90% I'd be in on doing, like I told you, that Quinnen Williams deal if it was at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
You get a 1,
Yeah.
a Jets 1, which is going to be high.
Sure.
Quinnen Williams, and then you don't
That
have
makes
to-
way more sense than what they've done.
Right. And so that's why I'm saying, like, I know that there's people that are in absolutes on both Luka and Micah.
Yeah,
that
no.
They are 100%. There's no way you can ever trade those guys. I am not there. So when I say that with Trevon Diggs, I'm just trying to be there's a lot more that go into a lot of these things. And that's why I'm just saying, like, I would say it's probably 60-40, and I'm on the Cowboys' favor, maybe even 65-35.
Are you ready for a really bad analogy?
Yes.
Because here's what I have here. I believe in if you're an organization, especially players that you've signed to second contracts, I do believe you should empower them to be the best that they can be for you. Okay? So this is what they did at the State of the Team address in Oxnard to start the season by running over Trevon and Terrence Steele. They had a reason for doing that, and they did what they did. To me, that was the equivalent of you go get a used car. Okay, you got it. It's in your driveway. It's not really working very well, though. This car's not running the way I want it to. Let's get a mechanic over. So you get a mechanic over. He takes a look. Yeah, okay. Then you start, it's still not working here. Still can't get it going. And instead of getting another mechanic and then another mechanic or another mechanic and trying to fix the problem, they instead chose to stand up on the hood of the car, drop trowel, and take a dump on the hood of the car. That, to me, benefits no one. Both parties are hurt because of their actions. And that's the realistic point of view I want to be about. That's where they messed up here. And that should not be on him.
See, you're
him
talking
doing all the things he needs to do.
absolutes, and I'm not an absolute on that, because I do think that part of that with them, I'm not saying I agree with it, but a part of them is also setting the tone for what they believe is the culture for their team, that they want their guys rehabbing and working out at the facility, because that's how it's been. That's how their players that have come back from injuries have done that. And so that's why they put that in players' contracts. They want them at the Star, and that's always a thing with being around Mike McCarthy for those 4 years. It was, it was 5, right? Yeah, 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
He would bring up a lot that he was always impressed with how many players stay in Dallas in the offseason, because that obviously wasn't the case in Green Bay. And it's more than just see last night. Patrick Mahomes gets his surgery done in Dallas, by Dr. Cooper, one of the Cowboys team doctors. There's just a lot of players, obviously Myles Garrett. There's a lot of players that stay in Dallas in the offseason. So I think they factor that in too, where it's like, well, we're not asking you to stay like in some place that you don't want to be. Like, we want you to rehab here, not in Miami. We want you to be around our guys so we know where you're at in that. And so I think that's why. And let's be clear here too. That was a very Jerry thing to air that out at the press conference, which obviously is not a great thing to do, but that's the way Jerry goes about things.
It wasn't helpful.
And it wasn't helpful, but it's also one of those things that, as much as there are things that Steven will do that are like Jerry, Steven won't be doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
I agree with that.
That's just not in his DNA to be like that. And so those are things that are just very Jerry related. I mean, honestly, I don't even think Steven trades Micah, to be honest with you. I think that was a very Jerry, type thing.
He got mad. No, he got mad.
Yeah.
And he's been mad at Trevon Diggs for a while.
Right.
And they were not mad at Trevon Diggs when they signed him to a second deal. In fact, they were quite pleased with him when they signed him to a second deal. Then he got hurt, didn't rehab it the way they wanted him to rehab it, didn't attack that rehab the way they wanted him to. And then the offseason thing. So I get all that. To me, it's just not helpful.
Yeah.
You dragging out the Micah thing is not helpful to the team.
No.
So this year is on you. It's not helpful to your new head coach. It's not helpful to the most expensive NFL player in the league who you've paid and who's been playing really well. It's not helpful to any of that because of your actions.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that because they get caught up in, hey, we're dogging on this player right now. And I'm not saying, dude, Trevon Diggs, I don't want him on the team next year. Like, he doesn't deserve to be on the team next year. It saves them money to get rid of him. And
you can tell he's never fit with what Eberflus wants either, because
100%.
you go back to, you talk about training camp, one of the first times that Eberflus talked at training camp, he talked about no house guests, and that being that he doesn't want any players out there that aren't going to be making tackles, and aren't going to be, part of stopping the run, even if you are a corner. And obviously tackling isn't Trevon's greatest strength.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good corners that tackling isn't a big part of their game. And so
Sure.
Trevon, when he's playing well, obviously at a Pro Bowl level, taking the ball away, what was it? 17 interceptions his first 3 years. Yeah, it was like 17 picks in his first 3 seasons. You can let a lot of that stuff go. Like, he ain't going to be, as he would say, I'm not Cam Chancellor. Like, he's not going to do that. But when you're taking the ball away like that, you could make exceptions. But he just never seemed like a fit for what Eberflus wants from his corners.
11 interceptions in 2020.
His second year, yeah.
Holy.
And I think 3 his rookie year and then 3 after that.
And then he's just now played 19 games in his last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's not very good. Obviously, he didn't play a full rookie season, too, because he was hurt when they drafted him.
Yeah.
That's part of maybe part of the reason he slid. Maybe not. Okay,
we're semi on the topic. You guys kind of flew by it. But, John, I wanted your reaction to what Rich Paul said on his podcast with Kellerman. Did you see that clip?
The only clip I saw was they were talking about Jordan. Sorry.
Okay. Well, they were on the podcast, and Rich Paul, the agent extraordinaire, agent to the stars, said, if I'm Patrick Mahomes,
I did see that.
I'm trying to get to Dallas.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I've said this before. I don't know if it was on our show or not, but I've said before that I've always felt like Patrick Mahomes at one day will play for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, that also depends on Dak's health. I don't see them going another direction as long as Dak's healthy.
They kind of can't.
Yeah.
Especially with the way they're going to move his money around probably in the next 2 or 3 years,
For
too.
sure. But no, that would be wild. And I mean, like I said, he's a guy that spends his off seasons in Dallas. He obviously grew up a Cowboys fan. You still see him at Mavericks games all the time. I just wonder, though, also with him being a Mavericks fan, I wonder every year that goes by, the more and more I think it'll be tough for him to leave Kansas City and not finish it out, run it out like Dirk did, where, that's your team, like Roger, like Troy, like that's what you think of, like that's their team. So I think for him, that would be kind of hard. Whereas like with Aaron Rodgers seems like he always wants to stir stuff up. So it fits perfectly where his career is going. Oh, yeah. Brett Favre, stuff like that. There's a part of me that thinks that Patrick will just get so far into it where he'll be like, do I really want to do this? And I think the only way he does is that someone would have to really disrespect him in their organization. And that could be their coach, because I don't expect him to have Andy Reid the entire time. There's going to be a next coach. And if he gets to a point where they are butting heads, maybe something like that happens, like kind of a Nico Luka thing. But as long as they take care of him and treat him like the royalty that he is in this league, I just think ultimately he probably won't want to do that. But if he's going to go somewhere, that would be pretty fascinating.
I'm looking for my quarterbacks as pop stars script that I pulled up a couple years ago. I can't find it on the fly here, but it did occur to me just watching last night that Rodgers is the Taylor Swift. Just drama, needs it to be messy, otherwise they can't really thrive. But still, one of the all-time greats.
So who's Mahomes?
He's Beyonce.
Oh, got it.
I saw the other day, thinking of you bringing that up, Kent. This seems like something that you would have seen, but maybe you didn't. You see that somebody's trying to sell their contacts on eBay from that they watched the Eras tour in?
Oh my God, that's so disgusting.
That's amazing, honestly.
I think it was like they wanted
I respect
like 10
the hustle a little bit, like I respect the grind.
Yeah.
Somebody out there surely will buy that.
Somebody give me the Kent Garrison keyboard from the halftime show at Ford Field, please.
Did not sell.
Yeah, you can find old condoms from porn stars on eBay, I think.
Look that up.
KT would know.
I don't want to look that up.
Look that up.
I don't want to look that up. Oh, last hypothetical on Trevon Diggs, then we're going to get out of this blue tent. It's getting weird in here. If it did not make sense for them financially to move on from him after this year, like if the contract was different to where, like it kills you to cut him, they would have been working to make this work.
Yes, 100%. There's no doubt about that. The moving on after this season, I think, is a huge factor in all.
I just don't understand why the focus can't be winning football games. And I know there's a lot of parties in play. There's a lot of noise. I
would
just
say
don't.
that
I
there
don't
were-
think you can ever get over the hump until you lock in and
Yeah.
focus on that only.
In Jerry's mind, I feel like I'll always feel this way. And I've talked to people involved closely on and off the record about this. I will always feel like he felt like he did that in 2023. And, well, actually, you know what? Yes, 2023. And then when they lost the Packers, he was just kind of like, all right, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going back to my way of doing stuff.
He did that when the Netflix people were there recording the documentary.
Yes.
That's the level we're talking about here.
Did they do that during 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, when they put Jimmy in the...
But it was all set up for the big thing later. But still,
Yeah.
like having camera crews behind the scenes all year, that is the focus on the winning. By the way, that doesn't matter. That doesn't affect it. Having camera crews at practice doesn't affect how it.
You can tell this year is a great example of that because of with Netflix, or not Netflix, sorry,
Hard
HBO
Knocks.
being there with the Hard Knocks crews, just asking players about that in the locker room. No one's really, they're so used to it at
It's
this
not that big
point,
of a
you know?
deal. And every team's got that. And
Yeah.
if it's not you, it's your social media team for the team doing videos with you and stuff. Like, it's always there.
I
It's
also
a little
love
different,
how
but-
like everyone's pushing to like who can say more F-bombs. Like all the coaches, whether all the NFC's coaches. And I just think it's funny because you go back to 2018 when that all or nothing was going on. And the biggest storyline off of that was that, man, did you hear Jason Garrett? Like, that's crazy.
Good Lord.
And then like Jason was asked about it at the pre-draft press conference that year because that's right when that all or nothing was in its prime of being aired. And I just remember Jerry, like Jason was asked about it as they were sitting at the table, and Jerry just out of nowhere jumps in and goes, "What the F are y'all getting at?" Or whatever like that, and just drops that F-bomb right there in that podium, and everyone's like laughing. But it was just Jerry's way of kind of, you could tell like Jason did not want to get into it, you know,
Sure.
the whole like having family members and stuff reach out. And like, but
Well-
I'll always remember because fans were like, why isn't he more like that? Like, and it's like, well, that's not his behind the mic persona. Like,
Yeah.
that is how he is around the team, you know? But
Well,
now it's just like, everybody is just
Sure.
going out of their way. Like, oh, the cameras are on? Let's drop some F-bombs right now.
Fire away.
Well, you know the Joneses have final cut on that, or you know they see
Oh,
the
yeah.
cut before it
Yeah.
goes out. PR does at least. Remember when the Bears were on? I guess it was 2 years ago in the offseason, and George McCaskey made them bleep out all the cussing.
Oh, really? I didn't know
yeah.
I didn't know. I thought you were going to say, like, he made the crew go with him to the softball game he was umpiring.
That too,
Little
but
George McCaskey joke.
Yeah, there we go.
They'll get that.
Bro, our
Look it
NFC
up.
North.
Look up his name. Look up
Dude.
his name in softball, and you'll get it.
Our NFC North listeners they've got their foam finger up right now.
It is
That one.
wild. Kind of like it.
Before we do picks, quick one here. I thought Shoddy's had some very questionable decisions, and you, all of you in the media, did a great job asking questions about these things after the game. He's mentioned over the last couple of months that he likes to be conservative, thinks about his dad during those moments. And
Yeah.
the 4th and 3. It's a thing that we've been talking about a lot, though. Is like with this defense, knowing what this defense is, field goals are going to get you beat. The field goals are going to get regular, even competent defenses. Field goals are going to get teams like that beat. And so I was very, very disappointed in the one decision on 4th and 3, up 20-17, I want to say.
Yeah.
Where it just kind of felt like, come on, man, we got to go. And he didn't. And hindsight, all these things, whatever. But that's 2 weeks in a row where I go, we had a lot of opportunities to really get a look at how he's going to manage games. We didn't get a lot of these opportunities earlier in the year because it was always playing from behind, or we know we got to go. But after those games where you won some games, the defensive, you may got a few more stops than you've been getting all year long. You do see how you would manage games, and I walked away with more questions than answers.
I would just say I'm not putting a blanket statement on every game to me is different.
Mm-hmm.
And for this game, I can see how you'd be like, we're at home, 10 days rest. Our defense will get a stop against J.J. McCarthy. Now, when you're not being aggressive and you're going against Goff at Ford Field,
Sure.
you're not being aggressive against Patrick Mahomes, that's a little bit different to me. But that J.J. McCarthy situation, I can understand where you'd be like, nah, we'll be able to get away with threes. They're not going to be able to go up and down the field constantly as much as they did, and they did.
I mean, I think everything from midway through the first quarter on showed you that they were able to do that. Though.
Yeah.
So,
but I think
I'm
that
sitting there going,
again,
well,
that
we're
he's
gonna
still
pull a stop out of our butt here.
He's still an unproven young quarterback that is can make a huge mistake at some point. So I could understand that a little bit more. And then again, them playing at home, they've just played well at home.
Yeah.
That dictates a lot for me as well. The only thing I would say, and this really isn't even a shoddy thing, this is just my belief on stuff that really I thought about a lot in that game is I could never call plays. There's so much that's on your plate, but the one that I go back to watching that game specifically is early in games, I would just find a way to just throw a ball out in the flat to George Pickens. I would find some type of way to just throw something underneath, get 3 yards to Justin Jefferson. Like, it amazes me how these guys don't do that with some of these star receivers, where you'll go like a whole quarter and be like, wait, how come they don't get anything? Just give him something, And you saw it in the second half, and it was interesting because I asked Dak about, why they didn't get Pickens more involved, and he brought up how he threw that one out into the flat, and it ended up being like maybe a 4-yard gain or something. And he even said, yeah, maybe we should have been doing that earlier in the game too, where I know this sounds bad to say, but there's a part of me where it's almost like let's just keep them engaged. Not to say that they're not engaged, but it just like when you're that good of a player, like it is excruciating watching. Yeah. I've seen so much Justin Jefferson over the years. It's excruciating watching him with McCarthy. Like,
I can't believe he's not being more vocal. Like, it's just says a lot about Justin Jefferson and how he's handling all this.
I'm not even comparing anything with Kirk Cousins. I keep going back to the games when Nick Mullins was in at quarterback for the Vikings, and he would just be like, yeah, this isn't working. I'm just going to chuck it up. That dude's going to make plays. He's just so good that, and I said this to Shereen Williams in the press box. We were talking about like just wide receivers and DBs, how they're always talking like all games and stuff like that. And there were some plays where the ball just got overthrown or whatever, and some of these Cowboys DBs talking smack to Justin Jefferson. And I was just like, I said to Shereen, I was just like, why don't you just let sleeping dogs lie? Like, don't say anything to him. Wait, do you think you're on his level? Like, that's the type of stuff when I see that I'm just like, let this just go. Like, why would you even try and rattle that cage?
It's when we watch the Eagles too, they will do the thing you're talking about, like AJ Brown.
Yeah. Especially
weeks after he's done a live stream playing Xbox. Like, they'll try to get him, and they'll force it in there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. He has huge numbers. They lose. He has terrible numbers.
It is
they
wild.
Win. I don't think you can take anything from playing the Raiders, though.
Which one of those do you think he's more happy after?
I would love to say the win, but I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
I think he'd like to have both. There we go. There's my fair analysis. That's what we all wanted.
I just think he's got a Super Bowl and he experienced the winning part.
We're not going to do a Chargers preview because, as we've told you, there's a really good chance by Saturday night, by the Christmas show for Saturday Night Live, we know that the Cowboys are out of it, or
they're back,
or Mariota comes through for the Commandos. Wow. And big chance, and you're really going hard. But well, whatever. You guys have seen the Chargers recently. You know what to do. Let's go to picks here. I can tell you that on picks, John, you've got a lead, but it is tightening up.
Okay.
Tightening up. You have 21 wins. Kent 18. Sod and I 17.
Okay.
And we're coming. The games this week will be Cowboys and Chargers, of course. We're going to do Cowboys at 1.5 point favorites at home. Isn't that crazy?
It is a little.
Seahawks hosting the Rams Thursday night. We got a beauty. Seattle, the 1.5 point underdog. And then Bears-Packers Saturday night. Bears a 1.5 point underdog, even with Micah's torn ACL.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, John. Cowboys-Chargers. Again, Cowboys 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah, I don't like them as favorites at all. Even though I do think they play better at AT&T Stadium, I will take the Chargers there.
2 big losses at AT&T Stadium.
Jim Harbaugh just khakis, drinking milk on the sidelines. How can you go against that?
Cardinals and the Vikings loss at home are going to...
Jim, you got anything to say about your former assistant coach who got arrested?
Yeah, tell us some more about that.
Nothing about that. I got you. Okay, cool.
Sod took the Chargers plus 1.52. Kent?
Who's a better quarterback, J.J. McCarthy or Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert.
That's my answer. Chargers.
Although is Justin Herbert as good as everyone says?
Yeah.
I'm very Justin Herbert in the same box as Trevor Lawrence.
I think there's
I'm not putting them on the in that Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow category, but they're in that next group where we live in a world where they're bringing Phillip Rivers at 44 off the couch that we're so bad at quarterback. So I think you got to be happy if you have the Justin Herberts of the world.
You're happy with it, but watching him play very closely, like the game against the Eagles, and we all see him play all the time, but like against the Eagles very closely. Yeah. And you're like, okay, what? Now the Eagles defense has made a lot of quarterbacks look bad though. So
what do you think would happen if you took him off of Chargers and swapped him with Jalen Hurts? Because I think he gets rings.
I think they're probably going to get some good rings. He probably did the tush push with him too. He's big. Still do it. You can still do it. Kent, you said Chargers, right?
I did.
I'll take the Chargers too. Well, I'll take the Chargers plus 1.5. Down on Cowboys. Maybe this is Eberflus's revenge game.
It is. It sounds like it.
Let's go Seattle plus 1.5. Okay, they're at home against the Rams and getting a 1.5. Sod took Seattle. I will be taking Matt Stafford in the Rams, and that is everything to do with Matt Stafford is awesome right now. The Devontae Adams injury is something to watch for sure, but I feel like they will get by. So give me the Rams minus 1.5. Let's go to you, Kent.
I'll take the Seahawks at home. The weather, loud environment, divisional game. Yeah, give me Seattle.
John?
You got a game time on that?
Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I've got 48 degrees and 90% chance of rain.
Seattle. Place going to be rocking. I do think Stafford's playing at MVP level, and I do think they are the best team right now in the NFL if you have Devontae Adams. But at Seattle, and I don't think they're going to have Devontae, and even if they do, I don't think he's going to be close to 100%. So, yeah, give me the Seahawks.
Rams are weird because they'll find a way to run the ball a little bit as well. Both
absolutely.
Those dudes, Williams and Corum.
Yeah.
We will go now to Saturday night where the NFL, this pisses me off about the NFL. Let me get this one off my chest here. Last Saturday, you have Army, Navy, you got nothing else. NFL, put your Saturday games there. Don't put them during the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
Greed is horrible. We all know this. I think it's crazy that Elon Musk makes more money than every elementary school teacher in the world. I think that's ridiculous. I think the NFL is the Elon Musk in this scenario. You got it. Just let college have their day. Please. You're making it tough. Don't make me choose. Don't make me have two screens. Okay, there we go. I'm out. It's a home game for the Bears. There is no Micah Parsons now. There's probably no Christian Watson as the Packers, in a span of about 10 minutes, saw their season go to dust. Kent, we'll start with you.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Let's go.
Kent is bearing down.
Ben Johnson, Coach of the Year right now?
I think you absolutely have to consider it. I think he's probably
him or Vrabel.
Him or Vrabel.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would give it. I don't really like the guy very much, but Sean Payton, I guess, should probably get something as the Broncos have won 11 in a row, and Bo Nix is turning into a pretty good player. Despite everything I watched of him in college, I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, they've turned him into a pretty good player. Although anyone can throw in the Packers cornerbacks. John.
First of all, I need to respond to your comment about the Saturday night game. 2014, I'd been down here about 3 years, and I was still at the Morning News, and a quote I'll always remember, I believe he gave it to the Morning News, is Mark Cuban saying...
Well, he gave this to the Ben and Skin show.
Oh, is that where it was? Okay. The pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah.
We're over a decade past that.
Yeah.
I kind of, so when you said that, it kind of went along with the way I feel about when people talk about how there need to be changes in the NFL, whether it could be kickoff rules, it could be whatever, and how this will improve this or whatever. Like, I really don't think they need to listen to anybody. It seems like that business is booming, and they really don't even have a comp. So, with that being said, I do like the Packers. I understand Micah being out is a big one. But why don't you run back what that record is? Packers Bears over the last
Yeah, no, you're right.
5 years? 10
You're
years?
right.
15?
This year's different, John.
What's that?
This year's different.
Okay, fine. Bear down.
And honestly, Jordan Love was playing well till the perfect storm hit when Christian Watson went out. Also, off 2 offensive line injuries. Again, they're shuffling. I mean, they're playing fantasy football on the offensive line.
That Caleb Williams stat's wild about the interceptions.
Dude.
Just with you, if you watch the style of ball he plays, for him to have that few of interceptions through these first, 1.5, 2 seasons, whatever it is pretty incredible.
30 turnovers for the Bears, too.
Did you hear his response when he threw, I guess, a touchdown in the back of the end zone, and the reporter goes, "Was that a risky throw?" And he goes, "There are no risky throws with me. I can make every throw." It's like, what a baller.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
He's going to be a problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can say about him that people don't like or whatever, but the just raw talent is filthy.
He needed the structure that they have in place now,
Yeah.
too. I think we all like Ben Johnson and all that stuff,
Yeah, he's just one of those rare guys where the goal for every quarterback at any level is to have this perfect pocket, and he can sit back there and go through his progressions. Caleb Williams is at his best in chaos when he has to start moving around, and it happened a ton when he was at USC, obviously with Lincoln Riley, and Coach Bro was there, and
The anti-Tua.
they obviously didn't come close. They weren't winning any national championships, but the stuff he'd do when plays broke down, that was the thing for me where I was like, oh yeah, there's no way anybody's going one over him.
Just so hard to grasp, too, and he's a problem.
Yeah.
Going to be a problem for sure. I will take the Bears, just for the record there.
What's the line again?
Kent's taking the Bears. It's one Bears getting 1.5 too.
Yeah.
I've never seen a game where the head coach looked like he was crying after a game. When Micah tore his ACL, Green Bay, we all felt it. It was like, okay, season's over. Let's get ready for next year. And I know that's not the case, and they're in still pretty good position. They still have to play the Ravens next Saturday night, the 27th, and then go to Minnesota. So it's not a guarantee that Green Bay makes the playoffs.
So take Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs out of this, because I know this is the first year where they're not going to go to the Super Bowl. But I guess because of his injury, I guess you could tie that in. But I think even if he stays healthy, that they weren't going this year anyway. But my big thing on the NFC is we break all this stuff down. I'm just going over the last 5-6 years. I ain't got no time for next man up when it comes to winning the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Show me the healthiest team out of those best teams. I'll show you who's going to the Super Bowl. Those years when the Niners went, they were the healthiest team, loaded. Same thing with the Eagles last year. Like, I look at the Eagles last year, and that is my number one thing. I'm like, they're by far the healthiest team out of all of these right now. And I say that obviously because I watch the Lions closely. If they ever had a healthy season, I would expect them to go to the Super Bowl because of how much talent they've had the last 2 years. They haven't come close to it. And that's the same. I look at the Packers. I'm just like, it's not just Micah, the Tucker Kraft injury. They've had
Jenkins.
all these injuries. Yeah, the wide receivers. Yeah, Wyatt. Like,
it's the Lions last year.
So there's, I get it. I'm not an NFL head coach. I never would want to be, but I like to be a realist about this stuff.
Yeah.
This whole next man stuff, that's great for your locker room. I deal in reality.
Yeah.
Show me who is the healthiest team. So this is for anybody that's trying to bet on futures of who's going to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Tell me who the healthiest team is. That's the one that's going. And that's why, with that being said, I really don't care what's happened up to this point. Nothing will surprise me if in that Super Bowl in February, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. They're getting Lane Johnson back. Like, as dysfunctional as everything is, it would not surprise me if they go back to the Super Bowl, if they stay healthy.
We did this last week. Can we update it? We did. Who are the 4? Who are the top 4? 2 in each conference. And I keep coming, the Rams are there.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to, have we just been sleeping on the 49ers all year? And they've had a ton of injuries too, but they somehow play well.
Yeah.
And they end up winning. And I've decided that for this week, I'm going to say Rams, 49ers. And then on the other side, I mean, how do you even Buffalo's going to be in there for me, especially they beat New England, but whatever. It's
and
Buffalo.
If they're not, they might never go. This is their best
I
team.
think Denver's a problem now. And I don't know that I felt
more so than I have felt at any other time, but I still would not pick them. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. I didn't think Bo Nix was – he's playing the Green Bay cornerbacks again. Slow down on that, I guess. But
I mean, do you think, though, that –
who are they losing to?
I'm just saying, like, do you think that game goes that way if Micah doesn't get hurt?
No, the Packers win that game.
Yeah, so –
I think if Packers don't try to throw 90-yard bombs to Christian Watson, they've win that game.
I mean, that's a factor too.
Yeah.
But
all this.
That's another thing tying it back to the Cowboys, though. That You can tell today on the radio, too, with Jerry, that's a factor in his frustration, too, is that they are relatively healthy. They have dodged any major big injury type stuff.
Waste.
Right. And so I think that one sticks with him,
It's
too.
a waste.
Yeah.
It's all of it. And this might, but good vibes in training camp.
Yeah.
And whatever. Maybe Shotty's doing coach speak. Maybe he's not. The vibes were good. The team was good. And then Micah was draining, being the energy vampire a little bit. But they just didn't handle it.
Yeah.
And they let it sit there and just ruin everything.
The vibes are
I
good
don't
right
blame
after
that
the
on
Quinn and
Micah.
Williams trade, too, though, when they won those 3 games in a row. That's why Dak's so surprised, because he felt so confident with, hey, Lamb's back and Pickens is playing great. And now all of a sudden we got a year that who was expecting out of Javonte Williams. So it's like if you just get something from the defense, and you did for 3 straight games, and you're thinking, okay, well, you can keep building on that. And then the way that they played against Detroit and Minnesota, and that is all gone now.
For all our Team Tank friends, I'll just tell you, the Cowboys are going to play. They're going to play hard. And also, you shouldn't be tanking in a sport where people could die on the field.
I get that, but when Shotty says that, the first thing I automatically think of is when he's saying, well, we play to win, we always play to win, whatever. Like, well, then you can't put Joe Milton out there. And I just find it hard to believe that you wouldn't want to, if everything's lost, like you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're in New York, whatever it is, January 3rd, 4th, whatever day you play on, why wouldn't you want to put him out there?
Yeah. Well, why? Hey, number one reason is not developing Joe Milton.
Yeah,
it's
why would you
making
want
sure
Dak,
doesn't. It's why Joe Burrow
that's the one with the Micah Parsons thing, too.
In Cincinnati.
Yeah, but I mean, the Micah Parsons thing, too, where it's like, not only does it end his season, it's like, how much does it impact potentially when he comes back next season, when these injuries happen late in the year like that? Yeah. That happened with Aleem McNeil with the Lions, where you're just like, that will carry over potentially. Now, Mike is a freak athlete who would not surprise me if he's out there kind of like an overshown where you're like, no, he'll be back sooner than that timetable. I'm not saying that, but with Dak, you know, the injuries have added up and stuff. You really want that in a meaningless Week 18 game against the Giants?
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes could miss time next year.
Yeah, that's
Christian Watson tore his ACL in Week 18 last year and was not back till like Week 6 or 7 this year.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I mean, the timeline is different for everyone.
Yeah.
But 9 to 11 months, I mean, and the Mavericks are watching this with Kyrie right now.
Yeah.
So
I could see wanting to put Joe Milton out there with, like, you know, maybe CD or George. I don't think you need to play both of them, but then Tolbert, Flanoy, some other guys, and just see what he can do against, you know.
I mean, I could get you to the 10th or 11th pick in the draft there.
Yeah.
And watch Green Bay keep losing. You have 2 top 20 picks. Very possible.
Okay.
Very possible.
Okay.
That's not how we need to end this episode. All right. Make sure you're checking out our buddy Sod over at The Athletic as well. We do love Sod, and we'll see him next week. For Kent Garrison, for John Machota, I will say this is the One Star Cowboys podcast. Follow us on Instagram at One Star Cowboys Pod, and obviously our YouTube channel here. Thanks to our friends at the Haymaker Network. Look at this. Looks pretty nice.
Pretty fancy.
How about that? Pretty fancy.
Pretty fancy at all.
So at Haymaker Network on all the social media sites, and then on YouTube. Give it a follow, hit the subscribe, thumb up it. You know, it's just algorithm stuff as far as I know. That's what I think. So be checking that out if you like seeing our faces all that. For Sod, for John, for Kent, who's back there. Kent, show yourself. Show yourself, Kent. Expose yourself. There he is. There's Kent. Give a wave to everyone. Sorry, audio podcast listeners. I'm Kevin Turner. We'll see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast. Goodbye.
The One Star Cowboys podcast. The One Star Cowboys podcast. The One Star Cowboys podcast. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker.